welcome to another edition of My Health Matters. Today we will be having a special edition of My Health Matters, and we will be talking about cannabis. Why are we talking about cannabis today? Well, you know what? I felt the need to try and clear the air around all the stigma around cannabis. I have patients that come into my office and they are dealing with a lot of issues, a lot of pain. People always ask me, Shay, what can I take to help me to sleep? There are so many pharmaceutical things that I could offer, to patients. And a lot of those pharmaceutical things, they will work. But most of them, with any pharmaceutical medication that you take, they all have side effects. Okay. And I think that is the um, biggest thing that patients today are struggling with dealing with their issues, and on top of that, dealing with the side effects of the medication that they take. Now, should they stop taking their medication? No, I don't encourage that. I don't encourage any patient to stop taking their medication until they consult with their doctor. Having a close relationship with your physician is so important. I definitely encourage anyone, if you don't have a primary care physician, please get one. Okay, so you can talk about these things because your health, it does matter. And like I tell my patients, if you can't convince yourself, then there's no one else that you can convince that your health matters. So please, if you don't have a primary care physician, get one so you can talk about your issues. And maybe you might want to strike up the conversation of cannabinoids or cannabis. Okay. But today we have on our show we have a panel. And of course, we have someone from the public speaking for the public. We got to love that. We have today our lovely Erica Zachary. She is a licensed, what is the CS?
Licensed certified social worker dash clinical.
Thank you so much.
Clinical social worker.
I like mess it up. I didn't want to mess it up, but thank you so much. Erica, and did you want to, as you introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Sure, absolutely. So I'm an LCSWC, which is that licensed certified social worker dash clinical. Basically a clinical social worker. I graduated in 1996 from the University of Maryland with my master's degree in social work. At the time, I was maternal and child health. I've always specialized in health. And then I kind of had to pivot as I started working with people in the 90s with HIV. And there was a lot of substance abuse going on, a lot of mental health concerns going on, just a lot happening that made me pivot into mental health as well. So I do that. And I'm also a advocate for CBD because of some of my own medical challenges and not wanting to be taking a whole lot of medications and pills and so forth. So I do it a lot in that realm, support groups and education and consultations. And I'm also a CBD business owner. We have actually transitioned to a wellness company, and I'm a health coach and a therapist, a psychotherapist as well. So I think I got all of that in there.
Nice. Well, you know what? I'm glad that you did get all of that in there because we're going to talk about all of that you are involved in. All right. Also, we have my associate, Melinda Toussaint. She and we did a show a couple of months ago about cannabis, but today I'm going to actually let her talk today. I know you guys are tired of hearing me talk. No, you're not. Yes, you are. No.
Thank you, Shay. I'm Melinda Toussaint. I'm a family nurse practitioner by trade and also holistic health care professional. So I am also the co-owner of Mary Care Wellness, located in Bowie, Maryland, as well as Baltimore, Maryland. But we service Maryland, DC, and Virginia, and nationwide for other services that we offer. I'm also a cannabis consultant. I own Mary Care Medical Consulting, and which I provide health and wellness coaching, but specifically coaching and educating the general public or anyone who is seeking information about cannabis, the benefits overall for their health, side effects, or just learning about the fundamentals about cannabis so that it's easy to digest and apply to their everyday health and wellness. So my passion around cannabis is really to stop the stigma through education. So with when you know better, you do better, and you can make an informed decision rather than just following what the trends are or what other people say. So you can have your own personal story. So that is my passion, plant medicine, and just overall helping people be their best self.
Absolutely. And also, we have our guest here, Marcellus King Brown. He is speaking for the public. Um, Marcellus, he is actually someone that uses the CBD. We will talk to him more in detail. But just to give you guys just a little bit of his background, Mr. Brown, do you mind just giving us just a little bit of your background, what you're doing now, if you've been in the military, anything like that?
Yes. I am a military veteran. I served for 8 years. I was deployed once. Um, Readjusting, I can say as a military veteran that it is a common ground with all of us. Readjusting to society can be a bit hard. So CBD has worked out a lot for me. So like Dr. Shea said, we'll discuss that more. But that's really all to me is me reintegrating back into society as a veteran and how it still affects me on a day-to-day basis,
Mhm.
more or less.
You know, I'm so glad that he is on our show because we're talking about something that is so important, our military vets.
Yeah.
And this is something that I feel that they just keep just seeping through the cracks and we just can't get a handle on it. Um, Mr. Brown, can you tell us now? I know we spoke earlier about your encounter with pharmaceutical medicine, dealing with. Do you mind if we talk about it? I think you said you had PTSD.
Yes, ma'am. It's no issue to talk about it. Yes, dealing with PTSD, paranoia fits, just a lot of mental stress and trauma,
Mm-hmm.
layers upon layers. And sadly enough, among veterans, it's the worst cases that happen. You hear it on the news all the time.
Right,
So luckily, me reading, I was able to find out that this thing works, and I was like, well, why not? There's little to no side effects.
right,
So I went down the road of CBD, and things have been a bit more easier, to be honest with you. The pains that I would typically get from just, oh, I have to take, ibuprofen for this muscle relaxer because my shoulder hurts. I don't have to do that. I can just my CBD, I'm good. 15, 20 minutes, maybe. Everything's fine. Like it changed how I wanted to get back to coming back from deployment
right.
because no one really tells you, sometimes you don't really see who you want to see coming back, or you might come back to misfortune. I've seen and heard stories that just seem stranger than fiction.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I just think, if it was more awareness in how certain treatments would go, if it were more involved with CBD or THC, if it gets to that level, a lot of these stories wouldn't be popping up. Reintegration would be a little bit more easier to some of these vets who've deployed more than once,
Right,
going time after time, leaving their loved ones here to know whether or not they come back. That's it's stressful, especially if you're like gone for 9 months to a year. That's
Mhm.
that's that's very stressful, not only on yourself, but your family back home.
Yeah, it is stressful.
So, I believe the the rate of integration is slow, but the answers have always been there since the beginning.
Right. Okay.
Um, I there was one time I had a recurring nightmare. I could not sleep. I would think it was like day number 3. Um, the VA was giving me, I forget the name of this sleep pill, but they were giving it to me, and when I took it, I'd fall asleep, but it was like it's almost like being choked out. Like you really couldn't control whether or not you could fall asleep peacefully. It felt stressful to be put to sleep, if that makes sense. When I woke up, my body was heavy. I didn't like it. It just felt like almost being a zombie.
Mm-hmm.
my homegirl who lived next door to me, a good friend of mine, she was like, "Hey, I know you're ex-military, but you don't really smoke, but you can try the CBD I have and see how it works out for you. You can catch a nap. I'll be right there to look after you." And I've known her for a while, so I trusted her. And when I indulged, it was no nightmare. I woke up just fine. It was great. I had an appetite, to be honest, and taking those meds, I really don't remember the last time I ate a decent meal.
Right.
And that's important for yourself.
Right.
So especially, I have children. I have two daughters. They are 9 and 10. They're active. For anyone who's a parent, they're active, and their battery does not die. So to keep up with them, I'm not. I don't indulge, but I can see the difference from when I was on the VA medicine versus me doing CBD. I
Right.
don't tire out as quick. My body pain doesn't get to me as quick. I'm not always thinking someone's watching me, while I'm talking to my girls. I want them to, this is dad, happy dad, smiling dad, the dad we know and love.
Right.
So it's been an improvement for the important and basic functions. Like I don't see myself strung out on any type of opioids or anything like that, or oh, I need to get higher. No, I can handle my responsibilities like an adult and properly.
Right.
And that's the most important part, because if it takes you past that, I want no parts of it.
Right. So, just to interject for a quick second, just to
Yes,
have
ma'am.
a panel, just to comment on just the military, the mental stress that our veterans go through, and then they come back. And I mean, I'm a military vet myself. I don't have
Mm,
PTSD, but I mean, I know what it's like to be away from your family for a long time and things that we had to do. And I mean, I get flashbacks of being in that darn foxhole and it's raining and I'm getting up to here in the rain and I'm like, you can't move, you know?
yeah, definitely,
Like I'm flying in
definitely.
this foxhole. And I'm like, I hope no one does come around here because
It's a bad day.
going to be a bad day for them. Yeah. I mean, the military can be stressful. So, Melinda, just a quick question to you. I mean, what are your thoughts about our military vets and the PTSD? I don't know if you've done any research or if you know that the military is starting to cater more to handling our veterans with CBD or any type of all natural holistic healing.
Mhm. I'm also too a military veteran from the Army, so I definitely understand. So currently, active service members are unable to participate of anything related to cannabis, not even invest in cannabis stock. That's how strict they are. However, with military veterans who are already is out the military, they allow them to consume, but they won't, they're not going to be a medical cannabis certifying provider. So I certified people in Maryland, Virginia, and also DC before now they could self-certify. So I get patients who are military veterans, and they share with me how well they are doing mentally and physically. The common reasons why I see the military veterans that are coming to see me for medical cannabis certification or to get CBD products is for chronic pain and inflammation, insomnia, stress, anxiety, depression, PTSD, just to name a few. So utilizing CBD daily, kind of like as a daily supplement during the day is very helpful to minimize that pain and inflammation and regulate the mood. And then also utilizing in the evening is also helpful because you're able to relax and get into your bedtime routine and have a restful night's sleep and have deep sleep. Sometimes people also utilize THC to help with sleep. You do feel the high from it. So it's kind of like you could feel, oh, I'm sleepy now, I'm ready to sleep. But it's really the CBD that helps with the deep sleep. And it's therapeutically or anecdotally an anti-insomnia supplement. So that is something that people could use during the day and the evening. And I always recommend, because CBD doesn't make you feel high. So having around like 25 to 50 milligrams or more of CBD is quite therapeutic. But essentially, the good thing about CBD, since it doesn't have like a negative side effects, is that you could consume high doses of CBD without any negative side effect, even like 100, 300 milligrams within a day of CBD. I mean, it could be quite expensive, but it is quite helpful.
Right. Erica, what are your thoughts in reference to what Mr. mentioned about the military and how his use of the CBD helps to calm him more than the use of the medication that he was getting from the doctor?
Yeah, I think that's a very common thing, right? So, we live in a world where Western medicine always goes towards medications. And unfortunately, if one medication doesn't work, then they're pushing another medication. And like you started out saying, all medications have side effects. They just do. They're chemicals. So I know I have some clients. Actually, I just picked up a new client that is a veteran, and I haven't done his assessment yet. I think that'll be later in the week. But I was glad to see that they are allowing people who are not actively participating in the military to do some things with CBD. It's necessary. So I'm hoping that we get further with that, where they're starting to release that stigma and recognizing that the medications that they're providing are not there. They may help for a little while, but they may have so many other side effects too. And what I've learned too, as being a therapist and working with people, is that they're not talking to their doctors. They're not saying, I'm not taking the medication you provided to me. This is what I'm taking. Because they're scared. They're scared to say it. Right. And so that, it's unfair to the patient. They shouldn't have to do that. You just have to be able to talk and trust your doctor and talk and trust to your patient as well. They're living in that body. So absolutely, all of our veterans, they deserve better care than they're receiving. I used to work in doing home care for that population of people, and they need help. They need assistance. And so not listening to them is not helping.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So when we talk about different types of CBD, can you ladies enlighten a lot of our viewers about CBD? But you know what? Someone just posted a question. If I may post that question for one of you ladies to answer. Is it better? Is the CBD better? Is it better than meds given by a physician? Now, that's kind of a bit of a broad question.
Well, I could tell you this. A lot of times with my patients who are taking prescribed medication and then using cannabis as an alternative treatment for them, some of them have been weaned off of their prescribed medication because they realize it is helping their conditions that they have, and also they're able to cope better without having to take their medications daily. So by all means, don't abruptly stop your medication. Be weaned off of it, because you could have a rebound effect that it comes double time worse. And I would hate for that to happen to anyone. So you could use it in conjunction with your medication, but take your cannabis products, whether it's CBD, THC, if you're smoking, vaping, taking tablets, gummies, edibles, whatever it may be, at least 1 to 2 hours separate from your prescribed medication, because cannabis will either make the medication be more effective, which can be good or bad, or less effective. For instance, if you're taking pain medication and you're also taking cannabis in whatever form you choose, and it makes it more effective, so essentially you'll need to use less of that. pain medication in conjunction with taking your cannabis product. But let's say you're taking a blood thinner and you're taking cannabis and it makes it more effective, then you're at a bleeding precaution. You're easily bruising and all, and I would hate for there to be any type of internal bleeding. So rule of thumb, always take your medication 1 to 2 hours separate from your prescribed medication, just to let your prescription medication to take its toll before introducing cannabis in any form, whether inhaling or ingesting in the mix. And it's important to be honest with your medical provider, because then they will, it could also be even a testimony, because they're like, oh, I see you're getting better. What are you doing? And you could help them also remove the stigma and become a believer of showing how cannabis really helps. If you're with a medical provider that is anti-cannabis, then that's a great opportunity to move to a more cannabis-friendly provider, because if your medical provider doesn't have a full picture of your overall health, then they're only going to be treating a portion of your health condition. So do the due diligence and share with your medical provider, and then you could also get their views, and either the medical provider will be for it, against it, or maybe not know and say, tell me more, or just keep monitoring. But definitely share what you are doing, and don't be afraid, because you are paying them to help you get better. So it is with your dollars that you can show who should be helping with your overall health and wellness.
Absolutely. So we have another question. They're asking, can you mix different strands of cannabis for different ailments?
Yes, you certainly can. So there's numerous strains. Like if you're smoking or vaping, there's a lot of different weird names which don't directly could attest to what is going to do for you. Like there's Granddaddy Purple, Cannatonic, Green Crack, and all of that. So you can mix and match different strains, because essentially those strains have been mixed and matched itself to produce that strain. Right. Yes, you could also have an inhalant like smoke or vape, and also use a topical, or also use a gummy. I like to share with my patients that if you're want something that is more fast acting, then use an inhalant or a topical. They work like within 5 to 15 minutes, but they last about 2 to 4 hours. And then when you're doing an ingestible, whether it's an oil, tincture, gummy, edible, tablets, mints, beverages, elixirs, lozenges, candy, and more, they on average take anywhere from a half an hour, more or less, to about 1 or even as long as 3 hours for you to feel the full benefits of it. However, the duration of relief is anywhere between about 6 to 12 hours. So those ingestible products, they will give you a longer duration of relief to help you throughout the day or in the evening. I like to tell my patients, as an example, for those who have issues with falling asleep and staying asleep, they could smoke and or vape at bedtime to help them fall asleep, and then at the same time take a gummy, because by the time that gummy kicks in, then it's going to help them to sleep throughout the night, as the smoking or vaping effects is wearing off. So that is an example of how you could use different products together, and also utilize different strains too. So it is okay.
Yeah, so I was asking, is it safe to vape using CBD? So I take it you just answered that question. So that's great. So, Erica, question for you. Miss Cynthia wants to know, can it be used for nerve pain?
Absolutely. Great question, Cynthia. And so I'm going to be really transparent right now, because I deal with nerve pain. I have neuropathy related to multiple sclerosis. I was diagnosed in 1998. So I've been dealing with MS for a really long time, chose never to take medication. That was my choice. I don't tell other people to do that because that has to be a choice that you make for yourself. But that's what I chose because again, going back to what we were saying before, I know I'm in the medical industry. I know that medications come with toxic effects. I wasn't willing to deal with that. So when I started having nerve pain, when I started having more issues, I started actually with THC and medical marijuana. That's what I started out using, but I'm a healthcare professional. So trying to not worry about my job, not worry about getting busted, since that's what we consider it here in this country. As my doctor helped me in switching over to CBD. So the THC helped as well. As Melinda was talking, I was thinking, oh my goodness, the cannatonic. Yes, the cannatonic worked very well for me in dealing with nerve pain and muscle spasms and neuropathy and all the things that I was dealing with in terms of somebody that lives with MS. But I was able to switch over to CBD to get some of those same kind of get some of that same relief. We're not saying that it's going to take anything away. We're talking about relief of symptoms, right? So we're not talking about cures and stuff like that as we're talking about CBD. But I will say that the reason why I joined the company that I'm with is because I started out as a patient because I needed something to help me. And as I was working with my doctor, she was a doctor of osteopathy. So she was holistic medicine, did Eastern and Western medicine. And so she was walking me through it, and I'm going to different places and trying out CBD products. Listen, I want you to know all CBD products are not made the same. You need to have a certificate of analysis. You need to know what's in your products, right? So you don't just take things off, going to Rite Aid and the convenience store and 7-Eleven, because you can find CBD just about anywhere now. And so please don't do that because you don't know what's really in that bottle. And we're living in a world of fentanyl and all these other things are being added to things. So please don't do that. Right. But yes, to answer her question, it can help with nerve pain. It helps me with my stuff is nerve. That's what what multiple sclerosis is. It's a nerve disorder. It's a degenerative nerve disorder that affects your myelin sheath, basically the layering of your nerves. And so when that layering is gone, which is what ends up happening, you're not having the signals are not connecting anymore. So it's helping me to have those signals to walk, to think, to write, all the things that I need to do. So I did want to say this, though. I was thinking about this earlier because sometimes people are really reluctant because they're like, well, how could cannabis do all of that? Or how could CBD do all of that? We all have receptors in our body. We're actually born with CBD receptors. Endogenous, I'm trying to think of the word because I'm getting ready to say it wrong, but we have it in our system. I can't think of the word right now, but we have it in our system just because the world that we live in, we have so many toxins. Our air is toxic, our food is toxic, all these things going on around us. We end up depleting our own CBD receptors, and so we end up needing more to help us. So we have 10 receptors in our body, so it helps from head to toe and all of these different receptors, and that's why it works. It's not a snake oil. It's not all of that, because sometimes people are like, they don't trust it. Yeah. But it's just like if you take an Excedrin. I was Excedrin queen before I started using CBD. I had a headache. I had cramps when I was younger, whatever it was, I took an Excedrin. I don't have to do that anymore, so because I just want people to know why it works. And we have a medical advisory board with my company. So as you were talking about, talk to your doctor. We do have a doctor's edition of our medical advisory board, so specifically that we can talk to healthcare professionals so that they can understand more about it. So,
yeah. As I'm listening to the conversation here, it appears that, I'm a family nurse practitioner and I prescribe medications to people for things that are wrong. But on the other hand, I am a medical cannabis provider as well. So for a headache, I'd rather order you not ibuprofen, or topiramate or sumatriptan. All these things have really, really, really bad side effects. I was going to order sumatriptan for a patient today that had the worst headache ever. She tried ibuprofen, nothing was working. I'm like, all right, let's pull out the big guns. All right, sumatriptan with naproxen if needed, but sumatriptan is like the first choice I was going to go to. She's like, well, what are the side effects? So I started running down all the side effects, and I'm like, well, these are things that can happen. Side effects doesn't mean that these are things that are going to happen to you. Let me get that straight. Number one, side effects doesn't mean that these are going to happen to you. Side effects are things that that scientists have studied, and studies have shown that these are things that has happened to people over time that have taken this medication. So that's what side effects are. And they have to bring it to the consumer's attention because they want them to be observant to see if they have those signs and symptoms. If you do, bring that attention to your doctor. So as I was explaining to her the signs and symptoms, she's like, I don't think I want to take the medicine. So when we're talking about CBD, even a topical CBD on the forehead could even take care of a headache such as hers, you know? But as a primary care physician, I wouldn't promote that. I'm not going to promote that unless she brings it to my attention because number one, this is not my establishment, number one. So I don't want to be outside of my scope in this establishment because I don't want them to say, hey, look, Dr. Brown, she's giving out CBD cards over here at this establishment. I don't want that to be that at all. But there are many ways of handling situations like that. So in a situation like that, what would you do, Melinda? Well, if you weren't in your establishment.
Okay, because that's a totally different answer.
Exactly.
So before I was in my own establishment, I was working in pain management. And so we had patients from DC, Maryland, and Virginia. And when patients presented to me, if, you know, with different health conditions, let's say the pain, muscle spasm, sleep, and then they keep saying it's not working, I did say there are other wellness natural options that you could utilize. So just go and do your research and tell me what you have found, and then we could discuss that at the next appointment. And then if they bring up cannabis or other natural remedies and so forth, I'll be, because also during that time I was in school for a natural medicine for a holistic healthcare provider, practitioner. So I also was happy to utilize some of the things that I have learned in my coursework. And for those who did use those natural remedies or cannabis and or THC, because some of them were DC residents and it was legal at that time, they came back and reported that their conditions improved, and then they don't need an increase of their medication that was prescribed to them. So I was in a transition from doing conventional medicine to holistic medicine and wellness. And that really made me a believer, like, wow, there's something to this natural stuff instead of like loading the body with all these chemicals. And in fact, a lot of medical providers, they really don't know that alternative or holistic side because it wasn't taught to us in school. So you can't always fault the provider because they don't have that educational background, because that is not a foundation in our learning. Some colleges are introducing the endocannabinoid system so we can learn more about it and how it affects all of our body systems. But that is a great time to talk to your medical provider about it, because if they don't know it already, hopefully it will push them to do their own research and help other patients. And also you could share your experience as well.
So we have a comment here that the Veteran Administration, they frown upon the use of cannabis. Mr. King Brown, what are your thoughts on that? And have you mentioned that to, you know, your doctors at the VA?
I have in the past, and they were kind of like, okay, well, that's not going to do anything for you. Take this pill. Okay, but that was strange. I mean, a good night's sleep shouldn't be worth being penalized over.
Right.
That that leads to a lot of positive effects. Getting that deep sleep, that I'm not gonna wake up in a cold sweat. You like I said, you see the stories on the news when veterans just they don't have a good day and it is the bad day for them. CBD can change all of that. You don't have to run to the cabinet looking for a pill you no longer have because you took so many of having these fits. It's easy accessible. It's cheap compared to people that pay not even really veterans for regular civilians who suffer from high anxiety and other forms of PTSD, not military related, because PTSD isn't just something that's geared towards veterans. It's more common, yes, but I wouldn't even say more common. It's more it goes with the stigma, I guess, if you could say so.
Right.
It solved a lot of problems with the greatest of ease. It like you said, Miss Erica, it's not the cure all. It helps with dealing with it. It makes things a little bit easier. You can go that much further in the day. And I'm not saying, just stop taking your medication. I'm not a professional. I don't advise that.
Mhm.
See what your options are first, and if it can be helped, do so.
So he mentioned a keyword right there, your options. Options. Don't take things into your own hands. I mean, as you guys can see, we do have a disclaimer down at the bottom. This is a very, very sensitive topic that we're talking about, okay? We do not encourage people to stop taking your medications. We do not encourage that at all. We're
Mhm.
trying to shed light on something that has been people have been trying to keep in the dark. We're trying to shed some light and options that are out there. Okay,
Mhm.
so we are going to continue on with the questions that we do have down here at the bottom. We have a question from Darius Yancey. Have you seen differences in results with patients with depressive episodes? Erica, do you want to start with that? And then Melinda will have you come in behind Erica, please.
Sure, absolutely. So I can say, so number one, so because I'm a social worker, I'm not a prescriber. So
Mhm.
what I do is I'm just educating people on what CBD can do in regards to mood disorders, right? So I do that piece of it. And I have actually seen people who have had success. I'm actually one of those success stories, right? I've been living with MS for 24, 24, 27. I don't even know anymore, 20 something years. So I've been dealing with it. So when you're dealing with something that is a condition that they're telling you there's no cure for, I actually was dealing with depression and anxiety myself. So I can only tell you what it's done for me. I can tell you what it's done for clients that I've educated and shared with them because we have webinars all the time at my company. I tell them, hey, come sit in on a webinar. Our doctor is talking about depression today. We have psychiatrists and psychologists and so forth. And so I just tell them, just educating, but what I have seen and what I've heard other people heard other people say is that it's helped them in regards to sleeping at night. It's helped them in regards, and if you're not sleeping, ain't nothing going well.
Nope. Not at
Nothing is going well.
At all.
So yeah, absolutely. So that's the first place that I start with my own clients. But as I'm talking about CBD, it's something that can assist. So I'll tell them about gummies and all the different things that can assist them with that kind of stuff. But yeah, so that's my experience. So with clients and with myself.
Okay.
And I still take CBD gummies at night. I take home all kinds of stuff, my clients' stuff, my own stuff, just
Right.
stuff.
Thank you for your personal experience
Just
and your
stuff.
honesty.
I'm transparent because that's the only way to be.
And then we'll appreciate that. Okay. So we do have people that are professional that do use CBD to help them to sleep. Um, I'm to be honest with you, I'd rather take that than a trazodone any day. I'd rather take that than an Ambien any day.
Yes.
Sorry, I would rather. I mean, that is just me. So everybody is different. Um, Melinda, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so therapeutically, both CBD and THC have shown that it has helped provide relief or eliminate or reduce depressive episodes. So, when taken, let's say, an inhalation, within about 15 minutes, their mood is uplifted, and certain strains are specific to help uplift the mood. And if you want to put in a category, even though you can't really 100% go by that, because a lot of cannabis is really mix and match and not a true strain. But the category sativas, they're known to be more uplifting. So people utilize that to help with their depressive episodes. Or hybrid or sativa hybrids, which hybrids mean that it's a blend of both sativas, which are generally uplifting and energizing, along with the blend of indica, which is usually more relaxing, have more CBD in it, and also help people to go to sleep. So having a blend of those does help with the depressive episode. And for those who have depression, anxiety usually walk hand in hand with it. So both the depression and anxiety has shown benefits with use of both CBD and THC and other cannabinoids.
So we have a lot. Now, I told you, ladies, that this is an interesting topic. Another question. Either one of you could answer this one, because I'm like, maybe this is the holdup while they're not doing anything yet. So why are you still afraid of promoting CBD? Is it because it will affect a lot of the pharmacies and maybe a lot of business, you think?
Yes. From a public standpoint, I believe so, yes. Yes, indeed. It's way too malleable when it comes to treatments. Way too malleable. You don't necessarily need plants or factories or chemical toxins to be dumped elsewhere, all for the result of these 300 bottle of pills. All you need is farmland. Farmland and someone with time. And there you go. And the strains vary. That's it. I mean, what do I need this pill for when I can just go eat something or smoke something and be okay in 20-30 minutes and not worry about blurred vision and haziness? I feel like pills just saturate the receptors in the body more than it should, versus how CBD works more organically with the human body. I mean, it's just my opinion. I don't know anything much.
That's something we will get ready to say.
Right. And I can share a fun fact with you guys, just to piggyback on that, is that like in the early 1900s, 1800s and beyond, cannabis was used as medicine all around the entire planet, for blood pressure, pain relief, tooth extraction, anxiety, upset stomach, and all of that. It had a little bit of cannabis because the physicians back then understood the endocannabinoid system and how it regulates all these different functions in our body. Now, here's a statistic. Most of the pharmaceutical medications that are produced are from overseas, right? And America is only 4% of the world population. But our mammals, so human and animal, consume over 60% of all the pharmaceutical drugs that the world puts out. So that is something to put in perspective. In America, we are the largest consumers of pharmaceutical medication. So that should be something to consider, because when something is natural, they can't put a patent on it because the good Lord made it, right? So when something is a chemical and all, they could put a patent, they could monetize it, put all these stipulations and regulations on it, versus something natural that you could go in your backyard or out in the fields, grow, pluck it, steam it, dry it out, make a tea, make a herb, bitters and all of that. So they want to have allegedly they want to have control of all that money. So unfortunately, that is where we are today in the cannabis industry versus the pharmaceutical industry, or anything natural versus the things that are unnatural and FDA approved. And essentially, all medications have to have something natural or something what's called a nutraceutical in order for our body to absorb it or accept it or let it to make it work. And the part of the reason why people have side effects from medication because it's depleting your vital nutrients, your vitamins and minerals that our body produce in order for the medication to be activated and work. So you might actually be experiencing certain ailments because you have a vitamin deficiency, and that deficiency is presenting as an illness. So if you're saying all these symptoms to a conventional doctor, they're like, okay, here's a pill for it. But if you say the same issues to someone who's in alternative therapy, they're like, let's get to the root cause. And they will say, take these supplements and herbs and all that and get your body back balanced, detox and stuff like that. Because a lot of conditions are an inflammatory response to whatever it is in the body. It's your body is always constantly talking to you. So you got to listen, find out what it needs, find out how different things affect your body, whether it's a stress, your diet, sunlight, sleep, and so forth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to touch on that, but we have more questions, and I'm just going to keep going over the questions. But I mean, you touched.
Can I just add one thing to that?
Absolutely, please.
Okay, so one of the things I did want to add, and I don't have the specific article, but I can get it for anybody that wants it. But then I think it was in the 1970s. Actually, they had the government does have a patent on cannabis products, right? So it says cannabinoids. So they weren't talking about just one. They were talking about multiple. So they already knew this, right? They just weren't telling us this. And then the other thing is that I just want to make sure that people understand that CBD is industrial hemp. And so you can get CBD with 3.0% THC in it. And it makes it a little bit different, but they used to have hemp in the store years ago, right? You can buy it in the supermarket. So now that they realize that it can help people in their bodies, you can't do that anymore. Our animals used to eat it. So it's all kinds of things that have happened, but they're not telling us that now. So just wanted to add that. And because they also have like cancer and seizures and, multiple sclerosis, even they have medications that are synthetic, but they are based upon that plant.
Absolutely. All right, ladies, it is 1:15 and we have another question. So I'm going to keep doing the questions. My comments matter. We have a question from Hassan Davis. I am a man with chronic pain from a bleeding disorder. Is this route something that could aid someone like myself who wants to avoid opiates, type pain relievers like oxy, morphine, those kind of things? Anyone can jump in.
Yes, absolutely. That's one of the common reasons why people seek medical cannabis or seek to get a medical cannabis card or pick up CBD at a drugstore or online. By all means, I always recommend to get it from a third party tested brand, which means that they produced it, tested it to make sure it's pure, and the product says what it has on the label, or get it at a dispensary, a medical cannabis dispensary, or even if you're in a state that has recreational adult use, you could certainly purchase your cannabis from there, because there are different regulations as far as with the genuinity of the products. But the short answer is yes, you could use it for chronic pain. It can help you alleviate any type of pain and inflammation with using cannabis or CBD, THC, and all, whether it's using it as a topical, inhaled, or ingestible product. So that is something that you could look up to see if your state have a cannabis program, and find a certifying provider who could approve you to go to a dispensary to purchase a product to help with those conditions.
Absolutely.
Yes. Or you can also purchase it online, certified from a company that has the certificate of analysis, and they do have third-party testing, because that's what we do. And that's what I use. So I'm a person, I'm also, again, living with MS, so I deal with pain. This week has been a pain week for me because we've had rain all week, right? And rain, just the barometric pressure in certain conditions, they don't work well together. So you name some of the kind of CBD products that are available. I'm a CBD user all day. I'll tell you that, right? I take a tincture in the morning. I take the gummies at night. I take seasonings in the middle of the day. I take a water soluble. I put it in my coffee or in my water. Why? Because I need it, right? Because I'm needing to keep my body in balance. So and I'm just telling you my story. And I'm telling you what I tell other patients and what I tell other people and what I've heard from other testimonials as well. So, but yeah. So yes, it does help pain. And like Melinda said, if you want something to help you quickly, because if I got to go outside on a day like today, I haven't been outside in a few days because it's just rainy and miserable. But if I need to go outside, I'm going to use a smokable. I'm going to use a vape. I'm going to use a pre-roll. And I'm going to go take care of what I need to take care of, because it will help me in a few minutes. And then I'll be able to do what I need to do outside for a couple hours, and then come back. And we call it the trifecta, right? So as you're using different products, you're layering them so that you're not just using one thing. So by the time one is wearing off, another one is starting. And that's the trifecta. Just trying to keep you from having the symptoms that you're having.
Now, as you're using the trifecta, does it help with the pain? How does it affect you mentally?
I don't have any. So CBD is not psychotropic. So unless that's why I had to stop using marijuana or using medical marijuana products, because they were affecting me in a different manner. And I usually was using a cannatonic, because that's what was helping me in terms of my symptoms. But also I told you I'm a therapist.
Right.
I'm a health coach. I'm do support groups during it. I got to be able to function. I got to be able to talk. So my brain works. My legs don't always want to work, but my brain works fine. So they help the pain for me. It assists the pain for me so that I can function. So, because if I'm in pain, and I'm sorry, I can't think of your name right now and I can't see it. But as I'm sure he knows, that when you're in pain, nothing feels good. You can't even think, let alone function to help anybody else. I would not be able to do my job.
Right.
We just had a hurricane. My fault. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying that one of the therapeutic benefits is that it's neuroprotective. So it has shown to help those who have Alzheimer's, dementia, MS, any type of a stroke. I had a patient who had a stroke, was half his body wasn't able to move, and he utilized cannabis to help him be able to walk again, talk again, move it. And if you looked at him, you would not have known he had a stroke. He was muscular and very physically well off, and was in his 50s at that time, and still looked very good for his age. So with CBD, since it doesn't cause the high, it actually, people said they're able to focus better, formulate words better, help with short and long-term memory. These are all things that people have reported, including myself. I'm also a medical cannabis user. And with THC, the thing with THC, since it does cause people to feel high, it does sometimes affect their short and long-term memory, depending on how many milligrams they're using at the time, and also the different strains as well, if it's an upper or a downer, or even a hybrid. So it affects people differently in different doses. So the rule of thumb in all medical communities are to start low and go slow. So that means start at the lowest dose and then incrementally as needed, you could increase it. So with THC, start with like 1 milligram or a half a milligram, but usually around like 2.5 to 5 milligram doesn't usually impair people depending on their tolerance level. Everyone have a different tolerance level as well.
Yeah.
All right, so real close to the end, so I want to finish these questions.
We
All
might
right.
need a part two.
I know, we
Right.
need a part two because they still keep coming. So we're going to answer Darius Yancey's question. Have you seen, and we're going to try and do it very quickly because I have a lot more down here, ladies and gents. Have you seen differences in cognition development with extended use of the CBD or THC? Have you seen differences in their cognition with extended use?
So I'll just say for CBD, I have not heard that to be an issue in terms of cognition. It actually has helped me, and it has helped most of the people that we've talked to. We do a lot of testimonials and things because I'm dealing with a company. I'm not just it's not just me. So I have something that I have a website, but I'm part of a company that distributes the CBD. So they make sure that they know what's in the bottle. They make sure that they have that certificate of analysis that I just said was so important. But I have not heard that it's affecting people that way. I've heard that about THC and different things. Yeah.
Okay. Next question. Can anyone that live in another state purchase a CBD card in a state that is not CBD approved?
So CBD, you don't need a card. So CBD, you don't need it's not a medical marijuana card that you're purchasing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something that if you want to try it out, I do suggest that you talk to your doctor about it. Just so, because I don't know what medications you're on, that your doctor know and things like that. But you don't need a card. You can purchase that online, but like I said, or you can purchase it in a store, but you need to know where you're getting your products from.
Yeah, and also, I don't know if she meant like a medical cannabis card too, because you do need any product that has more than 0.3% of THC, you do need to get it from a licensed dispensary. But any time it's less than that, you can get it over the counter, kind of like ibuprofen. 200 milligrams of ibuprofen you could get over the counter, versus if you need 600 or 800 milligrams of ibuprofen, it's still ibuprofen, but with the higher dose you need to get it from a pharmacy, need to be prescribed to you. So when any state that has a medical cannabis program is for the residents who live in that program. Some states has reciprocity. So if you're like in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, let's say you're living in Virginia, DC has reciprocity with Virginia. So Virginia residents can purchase cannabis from DC. And then same with Maryland. Maryland residents could go to DC and purchase at the DC's dispensary. However, DC residents can go to Maryland or Virginia because they don't have reciprocity with them.
All right. Question from Cynthia. Are there concerns of lung cancer, vaping, and smoking?
So cannabis has properties, anti-inflammatory properties, bronchodilator properties, specifically from a terpene, something that we haven't discussed on this call today, but it is a part of cannabis, kind of like herbs, and they have their aroma and also their therapeutic properties. Same with cannabis. They have terpenes, which provides the scent or the aroma of cannabis, its taste, and either it helps uplift you, balance you, or relax you. But not to get too much into that. But alpha-pinene is a known bronchodilator, and also CBD is a known anti-inflammatory. And also both CBD and THC have anti-cancer and anti-tumor properties. So if you are getting a third-party tested product from a reputable company, whether it's a licensed dispensary or a brand online that shows that it's third-party tested and have a certificate of analysis, also known as COA, I would trust that more. But if you're getting it from a sketchy source, the bud man around the corner, your friend, Amazon,
Walmart.
Black Box, Walmart. I cannot back you on that because you don't know what they're putting into it. Just like how there's counterfeit clothing, shoes, perfume, there's also counterfeit cannabis. And back like around November of 2019, when there was like the vaping crisis and all of that, it was from those sketchy sources. It was not from a licensed dispensary. It was not from a reputable brand. So if you do choose to utilize cannabis for whatever reason, just always, 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 I can't overstress it, make sure it's a reputable source, because essentially you're trying to use it to get better, not to put those toxins and chemicals in your body, which can be carcinogen or cause cancer and all of that. So make sure it's clean, it's pure, third-party tested from a reputable source. If it's not that, I can't speak on it. I will not tell you to utilize it at all. And a quick way to know if it's third-party tested, usually there's a QR scan code, so you could take your camera, scan it, and then the testing results, kind of like when you get your labs drawn and there's like a testing there, it will break down each component, what's in it, CBD, THC, terpenes, and all of that in it, so you know exactly what's in that product, and includes the lab and all that. It's pretty easy to read in layman's terms. It's just the name with the percentage, the name of the lab, along with the product. So always get those QR scan codes, scan it so you can know it's official. Because sometimes people even put those on there and you pull it up and it's gibberish or it's nothing. So do your due diligence to take a moment and do your own research, because that is what you're putting into your body, and no one is going to care more about you than yourself.
Absolutely. Okay, so we have one more question. I hope no one pops up another question. We have a question here from Rockman Sanders. How would you convince people who have been miseducated about cannabis to consider it as an option for treatment?
Mm-hmm. Well, I wouldn't say convince people. I think that present the facts about cannabis. So I love educating people about cannabis because my motto is removing the stigma through education. So just like you present facts on other things that are going on in the world, and people can make an informed decision, like elections is coming, present the facts, find it out so that you could educate yourself and also educate others. And then if you are one who uses cannabis in any form, then you could also speak from your own experience. And it's always best to speak from your own experience, because people could see that passion, or they see you like, I do remember you used to be like this, and now you're this way, positive, of course. Because if it's negative, I don't want it either. Because I'm like, if you're going to end up more grouchier than you are, I don't want that. But if you're used to be grouchy and now you're nice and pleasant and all, then I'm like, please tell me more. So your story is, and also presenting the facts out there, that is what help people to become a believer. You don't have to convince them. You just present the facts and then just leave it there.
Yeah. Absolutely. If I could just add to that, if people want education, because we do have webinars several times a week, and I told you we have a medical advisory board of just about every kind of practitioner that exists. If you want to just sit in, it doesn't cost anything if you want to do that. If you want to just provide the education and get the education, reach out to me. I'll be happy to help you in getting connected to one of our webinars.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we are coming to the end, guys. We're going to have to do a part 2 because I'm getting text messages. I keep looking at my phone. Can we? I'm like, no, I'm texting, no more questions. But there are a lot of people, a lot of them are on Facebook, and I do have a very large following. So we will do a part 2. Are you ladies will agree to come back on our show maybe next month to have a part 2 of this, because I did not get on the different types of cannabinoids, and I definitely want to talk about them. I want to talk about the THCV. I want to talk about all of those things, but these questions were so much more important than my questions, obviously. But I do want to have you ladies back on our show. Mr. King, if you would like to come back as well, we would love to have
Of
you back
course.
to express more of your feelings about about, CBD, cannabinoids, um, whatever that you want to express to us. But I really wanted to get into Delta 8 and Delta 9. But
Yeah, it's really
we'll do
important.
that on our next show because I don't think people fully understand the difference between Delta 8 and Delta 9 and the different strands of cannabinoids that they have out there. There are so many different strands that they have. And people really, really need to be able to understand. So the next time we have this, we're asking that people come with pencil and paper, pen and paper, because you want to write down this information, okay? And I'm going to start the show off, and we are going to start the show off with me asking them questions and them answering them, and then we would give the audience the last 30 minutes to be able to ask their questions. But as soon as you ladies and gents came on, those questions just started coming. So I really had to answer those questions.
People want the information, which is awesome.
Exactly. They want this information. So I may have you back a couple of more times because I don't feel that this is out there enough to where people have a general understanding. And again, we do have our disclaimer here for people to be able to understand these are our views. We ask that you do your own research. And if there's something that you find that you want to bring to our attention, by all means, because we are not the know-all, say-all. We never say that we never say that we are. We're just trying to just enlighten you on more knowledge about CBD, cannabis, THC, Delta 8, and Delta 9. We want you guys to be fully aware of everything and all of your options that you do have out here. We have three wonderful ladies, including myself, but you guys know me. But we have two beautiful ladies here. I'm not talking about you, Mr. King, all right? These two ladies, they definitely are into providing you guys with a lot of education about cannabis, about THC. Erica Zachary here. I have her information here. If anybody want to contact her, she is not only, I like to tell people I'm not only the president, but I am also a customer of a product. Okay. So when I talk about my detox soups, my detox juices, I am not just the president. I'm also a customer. Why?
Yeah.
Because it is so important to detox. Okay. Detox from medication, not that I take any medicines, but detox from everything. So it is good just to give your body a good cleansing every now and then. So we have Melinda here, not Melinda, but Erica Zachary here. Her information is down here at the bottom. If you guys would like to contact her, her email address is here. Phone number is 667-289-6138. She does a lot of things in the community. So if you know anyone that has MS, that might be going through some of the issues and difficulties that Erica has mentioned in our podcast, please, by all means, again, I'm going to put that number up here for you guys to be able to reach out to her, okay? I mean, there's no one better than to be able to talk to someone who has lived those experiences of MS. And I know that MS is a really, really hard autoimmune disease to try to get some type of control under. So I really, my hat is off to you, Erica, and kudos to you for.
I love it. Passion. This is my passion.
Absolutely enlighten everyone else about your experiences with cannabis and with CBD and with MS. We do appreciate that. We really do. We also have Melinda Tucson, board certified nurse practitioner. And she is, like I said, my encyclopedia and the plethora of information when it comes to CBD, cannabis, THC, Delta 8, 9, whatever you guys want to call it, okay? These ladies, they are full of knowledge, all right? And both are willing and able to get you your medical cannabis card if you do qualify. But, we have to go through those steps as well. So if that is something that you are interested in, then by all means, contact our ladies here. You can also contact myself if that's something that you would like to do. Or if you want to contact me to contact him, trust me, I'm not offended by anything, all right? I am here to help you out in the best way that I can, all right? She is also a consultant, wellness coach. And as she said, we got to stop the stigma around cannabis, okay? And we have to stop that through what? Education, right? So here is Melinda's information. MaryCareWellness.com. Telephone number is 240-206-7004. call or text, okay? She is willing to help you guys get your medical cannabis card. So please, by all means, contact my guest today. I want to tell everyone thank you so much for taking an hour out of your day to educate our population, okay? Because like we always say, we only give them 15 minutes when they come into the office. Why? Because we have more and more patients coming in. But we have given them a whole hour of nothing but education about cannabis, about experiences, and about the stigma. So we're hoping to have you girls back on and guys back on again next month as we talk about more different types of cannabis. I do have a couple of announcements for Fit for Life. We will be at the Bowie Music Jazz Festival, Wine Food Festival. We will be vending at the Bowie Wine Festival this Saturday and Sunday. So if anyone is interested in coming down and getting some of my wonderful vegan food, you're going to see a big poster with this little face on the poster. So guys, come on down and give us some support. Show a lot of love. I will be having my juices, my detox juices down there as well. We will be having the vegan fish tacos and the vegan slap. Well, yeah, I think I'm gonna have my slap your mama collard greens. I think we're in season for that, and the hot mess burgers. So we will be having other things as well. So I'm hoping to see you guys down at the Bowie Music Festival this weekend. The 8th and 9th, I've posted it in the Business Fit for Life site, and you will see it there. I'm going to post it everywhere on Facebook. But if those that want to go, and I don't have the address in front of me, but just look up the Bowie Jazz Festival, Wine Food Festival. You should be able to find it. That's how I found it. All right. I'm hoping to see a lot of you guys there. Again, I'm still fighting against obesity. So if anyone is still battling with obesity, if you need a consult, please contact me. Let me see if I can find my information. I'm promoting everyone else. So let me see if I can put my information up there for you guys. So you guys will be able to contact me as well for a free consultation. There I am down at the bottom. For a free consultation to talk about hypertension, diabetes, high cholesterol. How can we work together to get you off of your medication? All right, together. Not you doing it by yourself, okay? Together to get you off medication so you can live a better quality of life, okay? I tell people this every day, all day. You're young now, but how are you going to be 20 years from now? What is going to be your quality of life, all right? Opening up that medicine cabinet and pills just falling out of the medicine cabinet drawer or the door. You don't want that, okay? You want to live a good quality of life. So I think that's about it. Anyone else have any last words?
I do. I definitely am also advocate for detoxing because even if you may not take medication, it's in your food.
Yes.
Our food system, they naturally put toxins, GMOs, antibiotics in it. So you might be not take an antibiotic, but if you're eating that cow, that chicken, you took an antibiotic, and you wonder why there's all these antibiotic resistant bugs going on out there, bacterial and viruses, and well, if it's antibiotic, it's definitely bacterial, but definitely detox. You should be detoxing at least every season. So every 3 to 4 months, detox, or you could detox gently daily through the fruits, vegetable, and so forth. So definitely get Dr. Shay Brown Detox.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right, guys, hang in there. We are going to end our show, and I just want to tell everybody thank you so much. We'll see you again next week, 8 p.m. For another edition of My Health Matters. Thank you, guys.